Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to Triple Double Nation. Today we'll be covering the top 5 best possible 2021 NBA Finals matchups. Let's get into the video. This unusual season, defined by uncertainty and parity, could produce any number of possible Finals matchups. Between star-laden rosters, legacy-seeking GOATs in pursuit of more rings, first-timers trying to break through, and all manner of intriguing personal narratives, the options are overwhelming. The best Finals matchup is largely a matter of taste, but we'll do our best to lay out why the ones that make our list would be so objectively awesome. To avoid repetition in our rankings, we'll limit each team to a maximum of 2 appearances. That way we won't have LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers showing up in every entry, with only the opponent changing. Lastly, a key rule. To make the cut, the pairing has to be plausible. As much as a marquee meeting between the Lakers and the New York Knicks tilt will be titular, that's too far-fetched for consideration here. The Knicks look like a playoff team, but a Finals appearance? Come on. But let's give July some thought. Number 5. Phoenix Suns vs Toronto Raptors. As the late Kobe Bryant would have said, this matchup is a Bikram yoga stretch. The Phoenix Suns are several games back on the standings from the West Elite at the moment, and the Toronto Raptors are hovering around .500. Whatever, there's a lot of season to be left to be played, and both these squads have major upside. They could easily wind up among their respective conferences' top 3. Phoenix has only recently hit its stride, and imagine what's going to happen when it quits losing the minutes it plays with Chris Paul and Devin Booker on the floor, which is inevitable as the pair of backcourt stars figure one another out with more reps. The Raptors have a championship pedigree worth betting on, despite playing all but one of those games on the road. Even after their horrible start, the Raps own a top 10 offense and are barely a point per 100 possessions shy of ranking in the top 10 on the other end. The East lacks a juggernaut. Knowing that, do you really want to bet against Nick Nurse, Kyle Lowry, and Fred VanVleet? More than anything, we need to see Paul in the finals, and what better opponent than Lowry, a kindred point guard spirit in so many ways. Those two are the craftiest, edge-seeking competitors in the position. We need CP3 and Lowry going at it for 7 games under the brightest lights. If they guard each other, just imagine the call-baiting flop-off we're in for. It'll be like the most extreme version of the Spider-Man pointing meme, or that wildly unsettling fight between Natalie Portman and her creepy mirror image at the end of Annihilation. Number 4, Utah Jazz vs Brooklyn Nets. Who's up for a study in contrast? The Brooklyn Nets star-studded and flung together with no regard for balance, depth, defense, or system could hardly be more different than the meticulously constructed, tactically clinical, and no-frills Utah Jazz. 3 conventional superstars on one side and maybe 1, depending on your feelings about Donovan Mitchell, on the other. One selling point here would be Mitchell showing he belongs to the same class as Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. What better proving ground for one of the league's brightest up-and-comers in the finals? If Mitchell wants to validate that 36.3 points per game scoring average from last year's playoffs, well, here's his chance. Don't forget about Rudy Gobert going against the world. The Jazz's entire scheme is built around their dominant 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Can he bring glory to the rim-protecting big man by denying 3 superstar scorers on a Nets offense that might go down as one of the best ever? Big picture. This finals matchup will go a long way towards shutting down criticisms that the NBA is homogenizing. Sure, most teams are aiming for similarly efficient shot profiles, and perhaps that's not quite as much stylistic variance across the league as there used to be, but if the Jazz and Nets square off, the differences will be staggering. Number 3, Los Angeles Clippers vs Philadelphia 76ers. It's the Doc Bowl, baby. Forget the on-court stuff for a moment. Can you imagine the narrative abundance of Doc Rivers leading a new team against the one that cut him loose after last year's playoff implosion? The Los Angeles Clippers' 2020 collapse was a complex situation with plenty of blame to go around. But if Rivers' Philadelphia 76ers knock off the Clips, history won't view it that way. Right or wrong, we'll look back and think Rivers couldn't possibly have been the problem. Drama aside, this matchup would also give us a chance to see the process completed in Philly with a title with Joe Embiid validated as a franchise megastar he is always supposed to be. We might even start appreciating what Ben Simmons can do rather than forever fixating on what he can't. On the other side, we get Kawhi Leonard hunting for his 3rd Finals MVP. Only LeBron James and Michael Jordan have more, but Leonard could join James as the only 2 players in history with Finals MVP awards on 3 different teams. Flipping the Doc narrative, a Leonard-led Clips title would shift all the blame for 2020's failure back onto the deposed coach. Plus, Paul George would get a chance to put all the smirking playoff Pete criticism to rest. Finally, what level of competitive skullduggery would Patrick Beverley ascend to on this stage? I've got it at a 10-1 he tries to pants Embiid at some point. Number 2, Los Angeles Lakers vs Milwaukee Bucks. We'll do it in the next section, but it's tough to top Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James squaring off in the finals. If James wants his damn respect, what better way to get it than winning head-to-head matchup against a two-time MVP 10 years his junior? And if Anthony Davis wants to cement his reputation as one of the best two-way bigs anyone has ever seen, shutting down Antetokounmpo's relentless rim attacks wouldn't hurt. On the other side, Giannis could dethrone the king, completely reframing his and his team's history of playoff disappointments. Suddenly, the Milwaukee Bucks' early bow-outs in 2019 and 2020 would look less like failures and more like necessary precursors to a breakthrough. Michael Jordan took years and years of lumps from the Detroit Pistons before dispatching them and winning a ring in his age 27 season. Nobody's arguing Antetokounmpo is on MJ's level, but a chip in his age 26 season could similarly change everything about his career arc and narrative. For the Bucks as a team, nothing could be more completely validated of their work over the last few seasons than a title earned against a defending champ led by an all-time great in James. Nobody could ever disparage Milwaukee as a choker, as a system team that only ever fell flat when the competition picked up and adjustments were required. One of the most remarkable powers of a championship is the way that it alters the perception of everything that came before. Giannis, Mike Budenholzer, and the Bucks could change their place in league history. And who knows, somebody might even notice that Chris Middleton is really great. Give him some damn respect. Number 1, Los Angeles Lakers versus Brooklyn Nets. Our favorite potential finals matchup features the most stars possible, with LeBron James and Anthony Davis pitted against Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. That's not where the intrigue and excitement stops, of course. Perhaps most importantly, we get James lined up for what could be his 5th ring. The LeBron-KD angle adds an extra charge to the whole thing, as Durant has gotten the best of James in each of their last 2 finals meetings. KD, who would be in line for his 3rd finals MVP and 3rd ring, walked away with those honors in 2017 and then did it again even more decisively in 2018. His Golden State Warriors swept James' Cavs in that year, upping KD's finals record against James 9-5. Justifiably, KD operated as if he, not James, was the best player on the floor in those meetings. Nobody will ever forget his ultra-confident identical daggers in Game 3 of both the 2017 and 2018 series, unless James forces him to bury KD's nets. There's more. We'd get LeBron going against former protege Irving in a final series, plus Harden trying to validate his career with a championship, possibly by embracing a facilitating role that cuts counter to the bucket-getting bin that defined his best seasons with the not-quite-good-enough Houston Rockets. Throw in the first-year Brooklyn coach Steve Nash seeking the championship he couldn't capture as a player, and Nets assistant Mike D'Antoni possibly getting over the hump working on his 2-time MVP staff, and you've got an overflow of rooting interests. The other finals matchups on this rundown would all be incredible, but we need this one. That's going to do it for today's video, guys. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hit like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss out on any of our videos in the future. I'll catch you later. Goodbye.